Okay, so hey everyone, I'm here with Paul, one of my clients, which we have generated incredible results for. Before we get into it, I wanted to ask you, Paul, to tell me a little bit more about your business and what is it exactly that you do.
Yeah, of course, no problem. So I'm Paul. I'm the head of global partnerships for an agency called Love Music Global, and we basically manage commercial partnerships for some of the biggest artists around the globe. Our main bulk of the business that we do is surrounding the opportunities on the live tours that these artists put on a regional level or on a global level. And we offer existing brand accounts, or obviously any new opportunities with new partners, the capacity and the platform to amplify their brand and their campaigns at these live shows with these very prominent artists. Yeah.
Yeah, prominent for sure. Can you tell me which specific companies or which specific artists we work with
Of
in
course,
this
yeah.
partnership?
In terms of the talent side, currently, we're working with Dua Lipa, we have Coldplay, we have Justin Timberlake, Shakira, The Weeknd, Imagine Dragons, etc., etc. So it is a very extensive list and very diverse in its genre as well of music. But of course, that is what music is for, right? It's something for everyone. And so, provided, of course, we know exactly who the audience is for these artists, then we have the opportunity to invite these brand partners to join and really engage with this audience in that live setting. So, from the brand side, we tend to work with pretty much all types and sizes of companies, whether it's the biggest players in the world to some of the most regional and local brands who really want that platform to augment themselves and connect with that audience. Yeah.
Perfect. And if you could let us know what you were doing in terms of lead generation before working with us.
Yeah. So our setup was pretty much circled around or centered around having a team of researchers who would then be designated a project, and they would identify the relevant brands in those local regions or global partners, if that was the case, to prospect then the relevant decision maker within those companies and within those regions, and then set about obviously trying to get in touch to present this idea and obviously present the service that we have on offer. So we still continue to have a small team, and even the sales executives that work under me continue to do that. I to be honest, I do that as well. I've never stopped doing my own prospecting or lead generation as well, and I think it's just it's something that every salesperson I think has in them and should never stop, because it keeps them up to date and current with the challenges and the hurdles and whatnot. But it is something that we do in that respect. Everyone tries to find their leads, everyone contacts those leads, and then of course we set up those meetings and have those meetings. As you can imagine, it's a very challenging way of doing things, because we are only human at the end of the day, and so there's only so much you can do in a certain time frame or the working hours that you have, and of course in order it's sales at the end of the day, so it is a numbers game, and so by having a small team, it becomes quite limited in how many prospects you are putting out there.
And that was probably also the problem that you were seeing that made you think, yeah, we could use this agency's help. Can you go a little bit more specific on like what made you think, okay, hey, this is nice. Maybe we can use the help of Konstantin and See You Sleep.
Yeah, 100%. So, the idea for us was, as we were bringing in these new projects, we came to the conclusion very quickly that we needed to expand the number of leads and the number of contacts that we were reaching out to. So this could only go twofold. We either hired a massive team to come in and do that, but obviously that's not as cost effective in that respect.
Yeah.
Or we would rely on the service that you're currently providing, whereby we know we can be a little bit more meticulous in the methods and filter through to really go after the right type of brands and the right type of clients that we require for our business model. So that was, it was a very quick and easy decision to make once we were provided with all the details, and very happy that obviously we decided to go ahead.
Happy to hear that as well. Can you go a little bit more into the specific okay, what, like, now you hired these people, what have the results been for you specifically? And yeah, what areas of your business have improved because of it?
So in terms of the outreach component, it's fantastic because, like I said, we now have so many different projects all over the world that even from something as simple as the time zone perspective, relying on you and your service to get those feelers out or those openers out in a timely fashion, during their working hours, that in itself is fantastic, right? Because they're not picking up emails a day early or a day late, or it's done in a great way. Of course, the number of contacts that we're able to reach in one go is obviously, I think, the most advantageous part of working with you, because we're able to reach and get that initial message across out far greater than, like I said, having to depend on a team of 10, even 20 people doing this, right? So that kind of automated system has seen a lot of positive results. Obviously, then, this is all about creating the opportunity. There's no guarantee that it's going to convert into business, but then that's not on the service that you're providing. That's obviously then on us and the sales team to sell the product, right? Like in any other sales agency. But the opportunities that are being created, or at least the conversations that are coming from it, that I've seen, a massive improvement, to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. What were you able to, or how many deals were you able to close, and what revenue did that translate to?
So it's interesting. Obviously, that when we first started, it was a unique project in the sense that the timelines weren't quite as fortunate in that respect. But at least in the last couple of months, if memory serves me right, we've managed to convert 8 deals from this service that we've been working together closely on, which has amounted to just under 150,000 USD. This is more dependent on our business model and the fact that we do deals on a regional level. Obviously, if this was a global deal, then it would naturally be a higher value. But when we're doing business in one market or a couple of markets, then obviously the costings are different. But it's a number that I'm very content with in terms of the number of deals that have converted and the amount that equates to. It's proven to be successful, and something that I'm excited to just continue working on and evolving as well, right? Because I think at least with every couple of weeks, you learn something new about the process. You learn how to finesse it a little bit and, kind of cross the T's and dot the I's, and you start to see a better traction and better rate coming through with these leads.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, as you said, at the beginning of the year, back when we started in May, we had starting issues for sure. Also with the deliverability crisis that hit, cold email. We had problems with setting up the system, but once everything was running, especially in the past 2 months, we generated over 300 leads in just 2 months. And I'm very happy to hear that these translated to $150,000 and 8 new deals, right? And as you said, we improve with every week that passes, and we learn and we evolve with you, which is always great to see. My next question would be, where did you first hear about us? What piqued your interest, and how did you first hear of us?
Well, I believe it came from our leadership team. They had been exploring, these kinds of ideas and concepts some time ago. But it was something that we never really followed through on, because again, we had an existing team that we were relying very heavily on. But once, some of these high level projects began to roll in, naturally as any business, we don't want to fail. We like a challenge, of course, but we want it to be as successful as possible. And we saw that the only way to be able to do this was to ensure that we were at least creating that opportunity, as I mentioned earlier. At least we were creating the opportunities in a far better way, or in a faster way as well, in order to then begin these conversations, and obviously try to convert these clients into business. So I think it originated there, and the leadership team then obviously reached out and set up a meeting, and I believe we connected on that very first meeting. I was new to the concept, I must confess, but as soon as you explained, you went a little bit in depth into the whole process, and you answered all of the questions that I had, which for me is always a sure sign that someone knows, what they're doing and how it works, and obviously removes any doubt from the equation for someone like myself who has been doing this for quite some time, but doing it in a different way. This for me definitely seemed like a very advantageous tool to at least explore, and I'm happy that we have, because it's proven to be successful, and without a shadow of a doubt, I think it's just going to keep getting better and better.
So that's also the reason why you decided to actually get started with us, right? Was there anything in particular that made you decide, okay, let's pull the trigger and go ahead with these people?
Yeah, well, with you in particular, again, because of the connection that we had in that initial meeting, and like I said, you were able to explain everything crystal clear, and answer any and all of the questions that I had, and I had quite a few, if I recall.
Yeah.
So it was that for me was, it was great. At the end of the day, you are a good salesman as well, Konstantin. So you managed to sell the service very well. But it was definitely the point of, we're growing exponentially. We've got so many different projects, so many different markets to cover. If we can do this from one concentrated source, so that it doesn't require having too much back and forth with 100 different sales people all over the globe, then it streamlines the whole process, right? In that respect, because then I'm able to connect with you. We can cover all of the ground that we need to cover and tweak anything that needs to be tweaked, but then it's just between two people, rather than, like I said, me having to have a meeting with 100 different people all over the world, within my teams. And then that takes up my whole day, and I can't actually focus on the business. That for me was, I think, also one of the golden components of this, was the fact that it's just all very unified, and of course you're very easy to work with in that respect as well. So that was the golden the golden ticket for me.
Yeah, super happy to hear that as well. If you could describe how it is like working with us, and what area did you get the most value, for example?
In terms of how easy it is, I mean, again, it's great because we're able to really debrief you in terms of, okay, this is the type of artist that we have, this is the type of audience that we're looking for, and these are the types of markets, categories or brand categories that we feel have a very strong synergy with these audiences, and then let you essentially do that hard graft, right, in terms of funneling and creating that structure, and begin reaching out to these brands. And the way that you also structure it, or the way that you're also very open in terms of really understanding the essence of what, I guess, your clients do, and in this case I can only speak for ourselves, really understanding even to the most minute detail of the vocabulary that's used, or things which cannot be said, or can be said, so the do's and don'ts and the best practices of each business. I think that's great, because it really helps expedite time when reaching out to these clients. And again, I was super curious to see how they would reply to such to such emails or to such outreach. And I'm delightfully surprised, to be honest, in terms of how they come back. And they almost instinctively come back with buying questions, right? Which again just reduces that time to then convert that into business, which was great, because traditionally in the methods that we apply, there's a lot of back and forth, right? Whereas here, we're not giving everything away, but we're revealing enough to spark their curiosity, so that they at least come back with some questions, or they come back with the inclination to have a meeting, so that we can then discuss the offering. So it has really expedited time in a magnificent way. And like I said, you've been able to, with this service, bring a lot of big players to the table in terms of conversation, but then also brands that, and I believe I'm someone who's very well versed across all market segments, and I know pretty much, I won't say every brand, on the planet, but I'm familiar with the vast majority of them. But yet you were still able to bring partners in, or brands in, that I was unawares of, which was exciting as well. I'm always keen to see these hidden gems pop in. So yeah, that was.
I'm not sure if you're able to disclose like what kind of brands are coming in, but for example, we've been able to connect with brands like TikTok or Dr. Martens. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah. We have done deals with both of those too, and then others in fast-moving consumer goods categories, in other fashion categories, in beauty, in betting, I think in finance we haven't, but we've sparked some conversations there. So again, but that's the joy of our industry, is that we can work with pretty much every market segment or every category, which is great, because then that pool of opportunity is far wider than I would believe in other businesses. But that's sometimes a gift or a curse, right? Because it means that then if you can go for everything, there's a lot more ground to cover. But you've done that exceptionally well. So to answer that earlier point, that's another factor which obviously I highly value, is the fact that you are able to not only reach a lot of different companies, but within these diverse categories as well, which is great. You're not just focusing on one or two specific type of directions. You are going in all of them, which is fantastic.
And yeah, as you said, the pool of industries that we are able to reach out to allows us to do multiple test which people are more like interested in this kind of service, and then go from there and just adjust campaigns in a way where we are always reaching out to the best person and getting the best results, right? From everything that we've heard so far, how likely are you to recommend us?
Oh, I'll definitely highly recommend you. It's something that I feel in this day and age, and for businesses that have this kind of setup, that require a sales unit, or at least a prospecting lead generation unit. This is highly of value, right? Because it's a tailor-made approach that you personally work with your clients to establish, like I said, the best practices and the do's and don'ts of how to go about it. So it's not like it's a template that you have, which you then use, and then that's it, and you apply this to every single client that you're working with. It is very tailor-made and custom, which is the appeal, I would feel, for clients. Again, for our business, it's something that we can't solely depend on it. We still need the on the ground team to do the same kind of outreach, but then also to pick up the phones and have a little bit more of that tangible connection with clients. But what this has been able to do is just fast track and build this portfolio of opportunity in a very small amount of time, which for us, with the time sensitive projects that we have, is fantastic. So again, and even for the long term, I would recommend it for clients, because in other businesses where they don't necessarily have that urgency to do business right away, what this creates is an ongoing conversation with clients for future opportunities, or for future prospecting or whatever it may be. So I can see it working across a diverse group of businesses and business models. And like I said, the added value or the added plus is the fact that you are very easy to work with as well. And I think for everyone listening who is a business owner, I would also say that you are very cost effective in that respect as well, which I feel is an important factor at the end of the day for all businesses to survive and to sustain what they do. So when you get to the crux of it and you have to evaluate, should I work with Konstantin and his setup or hire 10 people? I think it's an easy choice, right? So yeah, it's definitely something that I would recommend people exploring in any case.
Yeah.
And if anything, doing a trial run and then getting those results and seeing how bigger it can be for them.
Absolutely. Yeah, the return on investment is definitely here in this case for sure. No, super happy to hear that. And maybe there's someone out there that's thinking about working with us and they're like on the edge of pulling the trigger. What would you say to them? Why should they take action right now?
Because if you don't, someone else will, right? I mean, that's the reality of any business. There are always apprehensions, obviously, especially when you have to consider your budgets and all of this, right? But then at the end of the day, it's the same with the clients that you're approaching. They have to consider budgets and everything else. So it is an endless cycle, and we're all in the same situation there. But you've got to always remember that if an opportunity presents itself that can fast track your business, or like I said, in this case, at least the opportunity to do business, and then it depends on you, right? Then you should at least try it. Right? You should at least try it, because if you don't, someone else in the same line of business as you will, and they will then start seeing those results. And then of course, you're just going to keep getting left behind. So, like I said, in your case, it's a very cost-effective trial. It's no longer a trial for us because we are continuing to do it, and again, it is a learning curve. We knew in the first month or 2 months, it wasn't going to be this immediate rush of results, but we kept with it. We fine-tuned and tweaked what we needed to, and now we've hit the ground running. So like I said, try it at least. Entertain the idea of it. Speak with this young man Konstantin, and he will guide you through everything. And I don't think you'll be disappointed in terms of the results that you start to see coming in, and that way you're always one step ahead of everyone else. And I think that's key for any business.
Thank you very much for these kind words. So yeah, if you are looking to get this started or try it out, there will be a link below this video where you can book a call, and then we can talk about all of your objections and all the questions that you have